So I'm going to show you today how to make real macaroni and cheese, and I'm talking West Coast style on the gourmet tip, but seriously also not fattening, like that whatever it was you guys tried to come up with. Anyway, today I introduce you to Death's Own mac and cheese. Alright, I'm going to show you how to take this basic set of ingredients right here and make some of the best tasting macaroni and cheese you have ever experienced in your life. It will be amazing. So let me give you a quick rundown of the ingredients. You're going to need about half a bag of some elbow macaroni. This is a 1 pound bag. You're going to need about half of that. Got some cayenne pepper, a little nutmeg, salt, and I just ground some sea salt, and this will be used a little bit later, just some pepper, but we got nutmeg, cayenne. You're going to need a casserole dish with a lid, preferably for storage. 3 pieces of just regular white bread. We're going to tear that up in a minute, and a bowl to put that in. Half a stick of butter, 1/4 cup of flour, and this is our 3 cheese blend. We got pecorino romano, white cheddar, and this is the this is the gruyere, which we'll get into in a minute. And then you're going to need 2 3/4 cups, 2% milk, and the food process there to get the cheese all going. So that's your basic ingredients right there. Okay, this is the bread. I've already torn it up into pieces and heated about a tablespoon of butter in there, and so you're just going to take your hands and get it all mixed up just like this, and then we are going to set that aside. The key to this whole thing is 3 cheeses in the sauce. The first, white cheddar, gruyere, and pecorino romano. Get these 3 together and yum yum yum. So basically we've got about, I'm thinking a 1/4 pound here, and about 1/3 pound of the gruyere, 1/4 pound of white cheddar, and that's about roughly the ratio that you want to use. And then you're going to use the romano, the shredded romano, to flavor and taste. So we're going to get these shredded up and go from there. And that's what you should end up with right there. For measurement's sake, we're going to start with a 1/2 cup of the pecorino romano. Put that in there. Loosely packed. Sprinkle on the top. Turn that in. And then 1 more 1/2 cup for a total of 1 cup, loosely packed, of the shredded pecorino romano. Okay, we got some butter in this pan. It's just starting to bubble up like this. And I've also got some warm milk. And I've got our 1/4 cup of flour. And as you can see, the butter's just starting to boil up down here, or bubble up down here. It's not really boiling just yet, just a simmer. And I got a whisk. And what we're going to do is we're going to slowly start whisking in this flour. We want the consistency to stay pretty smooth while we're doing this. Round and around it goes where it stops. Now the trick to this is adding the flour really slowly and keep stirring. And you're going to end up with this kind of paste. Now we're going to want to go ahead and start adding warm milk. Keep stirring that in. It's going to get thick like that, and go ahead and add a little more. As long as you keep stirring rapidly, it shouldn't scald. Oops, got a little browning there, it's okay. And you keep stirring this because you don't want this to get lumpy. You want it to stay pretty consistent here as a base. Keep stirring and stirring. This is the part of the process probably takes the longest making this cheese sauce base. So we started with just a little butter, 1/4 cup of flour, start stirring, adding a little milk. Okay, there's the last of that. Okay, this is just milk, butter, and flour right now. Look how creamy that is. Kind of a gravy consistency, maybe a little thinner. And now, go ahead and start taking a couple of good handfuls of the cheese.
I'm sure you won't mind if I interrupt.
Go ahead and stir that in. You'll see this start to thicken. You want to keep whisking and you want to get that first bunch of cheese melted in here. You can already see it starting to melt together. Now don't use all the cheese. We want to keep about maybe that much to put on top as soon as we're done before we put it in the oven. So let's go ahead and stir in this last bunch of the cheese. So we're about 6.5 minutes we've been making our sauce here, and that's about time to turn off the heat, which we've done, and a perfect time to start adding our spices. Nutmeg, cayenne pepper, put those in there, a little bit of salt, go ahead and stir all this in. The thing about that nutmeg and the cayenne, they're really going to bring out the flavor of the cheese. Bring out that real cheddar-y thing that we're looking for, that flavor, that spice, and that sort of sour and spicy at the same time. And that's looking really good and saucy right there. That's looking wonderful.
Not sure what she means.
And then check it. Go ahead and take one of your pieces of bread, give it a little dip. This is going to be hot. Let's see how this tastes. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We've just put our water on to boil, and it's a good time to take the cheese sauce off the heat and just set it aside and let it start to set. It's going to need a few minutes. We started our water to boil for the macaroni, and we'll come back as soon as that's done. And that's just about a half pound of elbow macaroni into boiling water. And we're only going to let this boil here for 2 to 3, maybe 4 minutes, just to get it tender a little bit. We're not going to cook it all the way, just a little bit tender. It'll finish cooking when it's in the oven. As soon as they're out of the pot, cold water rinse. Oh yeah. Ow. And into the cheese sauce we go. Now initially it might seem like you have a lot of sauce and not very much pasta, but these are going to grow in size and also absorb some of the moisture out of this, so don't worry. Okay, there's our finished macaroni and cheese. Got a casserole that's been buttered. And we're just going to go ahead and pour all this in. Yum, yum, yum.
Technically, that's not a casserole dish.
Jesus Christ. It's critical at this juncture that you ignore your camera person They might even be your betrothed, but trust me. Today, that's a casserole dish. Now that the macaroni and the cheese sauce are in the dish, and now we take our bread that we had prepared earlier. We're going to sprinkle this around. Right over the top. Go ahead and get all of it in there. You're going to cover the top completely. And just take a little bit of the last of this cheese around the top like that. All the way around. Go crazy. So we got a layer. What we're doing here is creating a cheese and bread crust that'll be on the top. Okay. And a little left over for munching later. Perfect. That's ready to go in. And this is ready to go in our oven, which has been preheated to 375. We're going to bake it for 25 to 30 minutes, and we're going to see how it looks after that. Oh yeah. Oh, that smells so good. Oh, that smells so good.